Welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Today, we're going to go into what it's like to stop generational trauma. I know this sounds kind of strange because when you really look at it for what it's worth, how do you really define that word, generational trauma? We've heard of generational wealth, but we never heard anybody really talk about their definition of a word called generational trauma and actually what that means, not to the world, but what it means to the individual themselves. Today, we have one of the, let me just call it what it is, one of the best up and coming actresses that has graced her presence from the islands to the United States. I'm pretty sure we're going to see her in tons of up and coming motion pictures. I'd like to welcome to the show the one, the only Miss Rose Sanchez. Welcome to the show, Rose.
I can't with you. I appreciate that. Guys, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. It's been an honor to be a guest. So, yep, I'm here to roll.
Okay. You know, during the pre-interview, you share some interesting journeys. You're from Puerto Rico to New York, to Jacksonville, Florida, Orlando, and now you're in beautiful Lansing, Michigan. What was it like growing up in Puerto Rico? Like, I mean, being on an island surrounded by water, what was it like for you?
I don't even know how to start telling you about that. I don't have any bad things to say. Puerto Rico, it's really an enchanted island. The only problem that's there is the government management and the economy, the lack of resources. That's pretty much it. And now, you know, with foreign people coming in and purchasing land that it's right in front of the beach, and then they privatize the beach that were natural resources for all of us all this time. And now they're like starting to be privatized because of these foreigners. I haven't been there since. So I'm pretty sure it's a little rowdy right now, but me growing up there, I have really no bad things to say. I love my island. It's beautiful. It's like party every day, which is kind of the reason why I left. And and another thing that I left was, this may be a little off topic, but I can't stand Puerto Rican males. I just can't stand them.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. I said, I need somebody good. I'm not going to go deep into that. I'm just going to say good.
How can you not be a good male on an island where you can pretty much swim, fish? Resources is like literally right there. That's almost like Gilligan's Island. Everything is there.
Well, God told us about this. It's called greediness. We have all the good resources. And if you go to Puerto Rico, some of the most beautiful women live there. They are beautiful, exotic, Caribbean. But yeah, it's not enough for them.
You grew up there, like, you know, you mentioned some key words. You mentioned government policies. You mentioned lack of resources. I realized that parts of Puerto Rico is probably tourist based, so that the economic dollar probably does come from tourism. But growing up there, what was it? What did your mom and dad do? What did your parents do?
My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad she would have every once in a while a job or two, but she had 6 children, so it was not an easy job to go outside and work. My dad was a boat engineer for the San Juan ferries. So when people would like to go from one part of the island to another little secular island near our island. They would take the ferry, and my dad would be the engineer for those boats.
Let's move forward a little bit. You got into acting at the age of 17, while I guess you were still in Puerto Rico. I take it you were still in Puerto Rico. How difficult was it for you to pursue your career in acting, and when did you realize this is a career that you wanted to be in? Because if you're in Puerto Rico and I'm just going to throw a number, let's just say 85% of your economic wealth is based on tourism. I mean, how do you even conceive trying to get into the acting field when you clearly have to cross the bridge to come over here?
Yep. Well, first you gotta want it enough to make a lot of sacrifices.
Okay.
Example. I started in 6th grade. There was this theater class, and they gave us a theater performance to close the semester. And I realized that in 1 week, I had already remembered my lines and everybody else's lines.
Wow.
And the teacher would see me muttering the lines of the others, and she would be like, "Rose, I got you. I see you, but shut up. Don't say anything. Don't mutter." And I'm like, okay. So, I started to like that activity, and I was like, oh, I think this is something I'm really good at. I'm really good at memorizing lines and acting them out. I actually like this. So everything started there. I started growing up and became a hard worker person. My first job was a server at a fine dine in Miramar, San Juan. And it was great. It was cool. I met a lot of people there that I could ask questions about how to advance in my career. A lot of Puerto Rican artists would go around, and I would take that opportunity to ask for advice. They would give me advice. The problem with going from my working environment to my acting environment is that, as we all see now, the entertainment industry is full of creeps and people that don't respect other people's boundaries, or they're just there to do what they want to do, their underlying intentions. So yeah, I talked to a lot of people, but never got that many jobs. Some of the jobs were like really cool, but they would say like, yeah, but you got to come home with me and like have dinner or stuff like that. There will be something that they would, because they know that we lack resources. So they, not all of them, but some of them would use those type of lack of resources to tell you, okay, I will give you what you want, but you got to do this, and there's a lot of people like that. So I did not like that. Most of my experience in Puerto Rico were like that. And somebody told me ultimately that it was better if I jumped the bridge and if I crossed the bridge, and I did. And it hasn't stopped here, right, but it's way less.
So it's worse. I guess it would be worse on an island or areas where resources ain't. But to me, it's kind of like if I know that there's no resources there, my career can't advance. Why would I even want to entertain? Why would I allow somebody to overstep my boundaries in an area that I know the resources aren't there anyway? But you said this is crazy over there. Like, how many people do you know, like on a percentage wise, has fallen into this trap to be famous and done all kind of crazy stuff over in the islands and clearly haven't gotten any further than what they were to begin with?
Yeah, I'm not going to mention names, of course, because I really care about this artist and I care about their achievements. But there's one that's, I really feel for her. I never got to meet her in person, but I took her career as advice. And I got the opportunity to meet her later on. And she gave me this experience in which she accepted a job in which she had to wear little to no clothes. And after that experience, after that job, she stopped getting jobs. And I can't stress how much that happens to us ladies. If it's not that we get more jobs and we're more exposed to the Crips, we just don't get the jobs at all. There's no in between. There's no in between unless you have a really, really good agent that puts you there and advocates for you as well. And that's very rare to find agents like that.
You've been in the career from 17 to 31 years of age. When you decided to come to the United States, what was the final straw? Did somebody approach you in an inappropriate way or something, and you was like, this is enough?
No, actually, I had bad experience, but they weren't like bad, like, R words and stuff like that. No, not, there was inappropriate approaches, and I turned them down, and everything was Gucci. But ultimately, I understood that I was not going to go far there unless I sacrificed something of myself. And I was not willing to do that, period. So I moved out and I found a community of independent filmmakers that like to make art just for the sake of art and hope that, by making art for the sake of art, they will start to see money coming in, which is the goal, of course. And I'm wishing my career again. I started to be in more shorts. I started to do modeling and stuff like that. And everything changed for good. Now, again, it does sounds bad. It's not that everybody there in Puerto Rico is like that, but there is a big chunk of people that have underlying intentions. Now, what happens with that is that it's a tiny island with so much people. I'm pretty sure here there is much more people that are just like that, but this is a wider piece of land. So, I can't say it's been worse here because I managed to build up that shield over there in Puerto Rico. And when I came here, I was kind of like already prepared to what I could face.
Who found you? Who found you in the States? That made you? Well, so you did your own research into United States independent film communities. And what made you decide to choose the community that you choose?
Well, something that I tell all the artists is that you can start wherever you are. You don't have to move to somewhere or whatever. I didn't know that part in Puerto Rico. I learned it more once I came over here, and I was like, oh, I could have done this in Puerto Rico, but I didn't have the experience and the knowledge to do that. Every time I see an artist that's trying to make it, or it's like, I'm like, stop trying to make it. Just do it. Go into your environment where you're at right now in your city and find a group of people that does this kind of stuff. I am pretty sure every state has their own area where independent filmmaking is rampant. They just got to find it. They just got to do their homework and actually start sending out emails, start sending out private messages. Hey, I'm here in the area. I'm trying to see what events for filmmaking are around. I'm trying to attend and network and ta-da-da-da. It may be a little bit of a drag in the beginning because at least most artists I know are majorly introverts. So it may be hard in the very beginning to break that ice because you're starting conversations with strangers, but it pays off. You never know who you're talking to, so it pays off.
How difficult was it for you to just uproot and leave your family and your friends to seek the generational wealth, which we'll get into in a minute, the generational wealth? And how supportive was your family and your friends with this journey?
Well, if we're going to tap into that, we'll have to start from the generational curses one.
Go.
Yeah, it was more than my family didn't have a lot of opinions in it. They weren't really close to me. My mom and my dad were close to me and my youngest siblings. But other than that, everybody had like their own life and endeavors. So they really didn't put too much mind into it. For me, it was easy. I'm always been a very motivational to myself. I've been positive to myself. I mean, not all the time, but you know, we all have those times where we're like, okay, social battery is off. I don't want to feel anything.
Right.
But other than that, I just found the motivation myself. I thought that at that point, Puerto Rico was not trying to raise their minimum wage, which is still the same, $7.25 an hour. And I heard a lot of acquaintances that were having opportunities here in the States, and they'd say, hey, you know, you're at 12 hours, you're at 15 hours, you're at 20 hours, depending, you're at 20 an hour, depending on the job that you choose. And I was very into food and beverage industry. So I became a server over there too in a better fine dine. Instead of $3 an hour in Puerto Rico, I would get $5, which was okay because it was a fine dine. And there's like a lot of wealthy people coming in to eat. And I did great. I started making good money. I saved money, a lot of it. I did not give myself luxuries. I did not went outside to get my hair done every 2 or 3 weeks. I just learned how to do all that myself and saved all the money I could so that I can invest in my future.
You talked about generational wealth is not necessarily money. And I thought that was really good. A lot of people don't understand that. Your terminology is, I mean, I'll let you tell your own terminology, but you said something that was really crucial. You said it stops here. What stops here?
Stops here.
What stops here? And what were the traumas?
The lies, the hiding, the betrayal, the cheating, the abuse, everything is out. It's no longer coming forward from here.
But these things that was happening to you?
These were things that not just happened to me, happened to people around me in the same family nucleus. And I saw, I learned, I left early.
Wow. If you had to stay there, I know this is hypothetical question, but had you stayed there, do you think you would have been a victim of the things that you just mentioned? And if so, who would they have came from? Would it have been from friends? Would it have been from family? Would it have been from a variety of different sources?
It would be a variety of different sources. I remember, and this is off topic, a story. I remember I had this best friend of mine. I was tiny. I was a kid still, but that kind of like set the record for what I was going to expect from the people in the future. I had this best friend. She's female as well. And we were like super best friends. People would call us sisters, or maybe they would speculate that we were lesbians because we would grab our hands and walk around grabbing hands and stuff. But we were kids, probably 11, 12 years old. So there's no space for any of those speculations. I got grounded. I had a little boyfriend, nothing bad, just grabbing hands, kisses on the cheek, kids stuff. I had this little boyfriend. I got grounded for a week at home. I had a balcony. I would go to the balcony to see my friends and say hello because I couldn't come out. And this particular day, I came out in the balcony and I saw my best friend grabbing my little boyfriend's hand. And when I said hello to like, hey, what y'all doing? They completely ignored me and continued walking. And after that, that kind of like set it up for the future. Like, I can't trust people. I got to distrust them until they show me otherwise so that I know it's safe.
So they've already been proven guilty in your eyes based on the childhood trauma. Has that affected you moving forward in your career? Because it's kind of like if you've already proven somebody guilty based on an experience, and I get it, it's your experience, how would you be able to really know that you're not pushing something away based on fear versus critical thinking? You're thinking on a fear base from childhood. How do has that ever really affected you moving forward?
Well, I can't say no. I'm going to say yes, because you talk about fear. Fear is not necessarily bad. Fear keeps us alive. If we don't feel fear, we will keep walking through that towards that cliff. And it's that fear of the wind just hitting us in the face like, oh my gosh, that fall is going to be horrendous. So I'm not even going to get close to that cliff. It's that type of fear that keep us alive, that help us survive. That's a very a grand skill that we have, that survival skill, the fight or flight response. When it comes to that type of stuff, it was more of what I took from that experience was the do not trust anybody unless they show you otherwise. So after that, I do want to say it is still affecting me, because that is something I still carry on. I'd be like, whoever comes to me first, I will be polite, cordial, and respectful. But I don't trust you until you show me otherwise, until you show me you are a trustworthy person with your actions. I don't trust what you say. I will trust your actions. And if you say something and you haven't have any actions to, back that up, rest assured, I'm going to keep your word and I'm going to hold you accountable for that word. Not that I'm going to go ahead and tell you, but that is going to be in my mind. And when it's your time to prove what you spoke, I am going to have my eyes really open and observing. And that will probably set the tone of how am I going to make business or form a bond with you in the future.
You have a baby. How does that change you with your career, your beliefs, and moving forward?
Well, I'll be honest, since I was a little girl, one of my biggest dreams was to be a marine biologist, which is not anymore, an actress and a mother. I can say those two, I got them held down. I love being a mom. It is stressful. It is a sacrifice. It is very, very painful at times, but it pays off. And it's the grace and the blessings are way greater than the pain that it took you to get there.
What did you learn from being a mom? Like, now that you're a mom, what's different in your career raising your child versus the way in which you grew up? Like, what values do you bring into motherhood, and which ones are you afraid to bring in, or are afraid that it may resurface because trauma lives within your body?
True. Well, I will start by this. We started talking about how lies, hiding things, betrayal, and all of that stuff. So I took those things that I did not want in my family. And what I said was, if I don't want lies, I will always remain honest to my children and my spouse. If I don't want hiding, I will not hide information from my children or my spouse. From my children, maybe depends on how old they are to understand what I'm about to unload in them. If they still too young to understand, I will explain them that it's not an appropriate age for them to know that information. But as soon as they have it, I will sit down with them and have that information with them. The more information I give them about this world, more power to them and more invincible they are. So I gotta work on that gradually. And I do say that to all parents: don't hide information from your children. It's crucial that they know what they're about to face once they're out of under your wing. It's very, very important that they know. The betrayal, I will put it upon myself. I will never put myself in a position in which I will end up betraying either my spouse or my children. I feel that the way to break these generational curses are through self. Nobody can stop them but you. So you got to put that example forth so that the people that are coming after you can follow that footstep. That's what Jesus did, right? Yeah, he did what he did, sacrificed, and the whole point of the crucifixion was, I did this for you so that hopefully you will deny yourself and follow into my footsteps. So I'm doing my best to be a Jesus follower in behavior. Yeah.
You've done anywhere between, what is it, 20? You've done almost 25 films. That's a lot of films.
Yeah, it's all. I didn't even realize it was that much until I saw all the little collection that I have of all the films that I've been in, and I was like, oh, I have a few. That's nice.
What's your most memorable films? Give me 3 of your most memorable films and why.
Wow, I'm not trying to be selfish. I'm gonna say mine's, but it's not because of the quality, because I've been in films where the filmmakers had way much better quality. Trust me. But it's the stories that I try to spread into the masses with my films. The first one was about awareness to human trafficking. Yeah, I did that one because I started to go down a rabbit hole in which I noticed that United States was practically the one of the first buyers, one of the first customers of human trafficking. And I was like, wow. So I thought that was a topic that needed to be put out there. Not that it's original, it's completely unoriginal, but it was my first film that I shot myself with no experience behind the camera, and it came out decent. So that was like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. Like, good job, Rose. Good job.
How much research did you put into doing this film? And then what was the name of the film, if you can remember? But how much research did you put into the film, and what character did you play?
Yeah, thank you for that question. The film is called Prey, but the lady's name, the protagonist, is Perry. So it's Prey, and if you read it in a column way, it says Perry. So it was like a word game that I wanted to do to make people like, wow, that's genius. But I can't tell you exactly all the research I made because I went down rabbit holes that are not legal and found some stuff that were very concerning that I don't really talk about much because people either call you a conspiracy theorist or just they just blatantly don't believe you, which is fine. I feel like people have all the rights to sit down and make their own research and understand what is going on in this world by themselves. Somebody that goes ahead and just takes your blindfold off, you don't know how that person is going to react. They got to do it by themselves slowly. You do it just right away. It's psychologically, it will cause like a crisis in their emotion and their mental health. So it would be better to do that slowly and voluntarily. So if you don't ask me, I don't tell you. And my character I was the 911 operator. In my film, something about my films, I want to make it about the artist that I work with. I don't make it about myself. I am in the credits. I do take a little minor role inside my own short because, hello, it's my short. I want to have a little role there. But I never take as much from the others, because I want to see my friends win, if that makes sense. And if that's with something I made, wow, that would be amazing. That would be a really nice achievement.
What was your intention on doing the film, and what was the message that you was trying to get across? You wind up opening the rabbit hole to sex trafficking. I would probably myself find it I saw a movie kind of like that with Richard Gere, and he was a police officer, and the girl name was on the board, and he actually saw her, and she was inside of a house with another female, and the things that was being done were horrible. I couldn't even imagine, let alone directing a film with like that, let alone even playing a character. How disturbing was that for you to do that and to put that project together?
Yeah, well, I had one isolated experience in which it wasn't until I was 25 that I realized that I was potentially about to be trafficked. And my ingenuity got me out of there completely unconsciously. I had no idea that I was getting out of that issue. I was doing the right thing to stay safe, regardless of whatever situation was going on. But again, like I told you, I've already had this experience, so I had a certain shield on me to protect myself from that kind of stuff.
What was the environment that you was almost getting ready to be?
Actually, it was
into human trafficking. That's kind of like, were you at a party? Was it the way to coach the girls in there? And then, I mean, give me some insight on that.
I would love to give you an insight on this, because a lot of artists should know this. The environment was very professional. It was a casting. There was a bunch of women from all over the place, children too, and older adults. That was when I was a young adult. Mm-hmm. So there was older adults, there was younger adults and children. It was a big environment. There was a casting call. Everybody was there. It was overwhelming, and the setting was professional. The people were casting directors from Hollywood. It was my turn to come out with a monologue that they gave us to memorize. I was a little nervous and kind of like stumbled on my words because there was so many people and we had to do it right in front of them on site. So it was a little too much pressure for me. It was my first casting on the open like that with everybody just watching. Mm-hmm. So it was a little uncomfortable in the very beginning. And I stumbled on my words. He did saw my potential. He told me, I like how you speak. I like how you present yourself. I like your pictures. I like your resume. It's just this little monologue right now. Don't worry about it. Here's my phone number. Just call me after 4. Which is when we finish the casting, and we'll talk about it later. And I'm like, okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate. And I left. I called later on. He invited me to go to Cheesecake Factory. We went to Cheesecake Factory. We only talked about film. We only talked about my career. Everything was professionally setted at the moment. Everything turned weird when he asked me to go to his hotel room. I had a plan B already on my under my sleeve. Basically, I would tell people that my friends are waiting for me in the lobby because I didn't come by myself.
Right.
And that would generally save me from anything, regardless of whatever fear I would have with A or B person. It would always save me. So I went to the room. I was very naive. It was my first experience with a Hollywood casting director that would potentially give me a bigger role. And he insinuated that I would be better off if I started as a porn star. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. I have children. I can't expose my children to see me in the internet in the future and be bullied and stuff like that. I don't want to subject them to any of that. They're like, well, okay, well, yeah. yeah, that's pretty much what we can offer you. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, I see. He took a few headshots of me. I had some change of clothes. So he took some pictures of me. I took the picture. Thankfully, I brought my own camera because I didn't want them to keep any pictures of me if they were not going to choose me. So I brought my camera. He took the pictures. Everything was Gucci. Everything was nice. I took the camera and started watching the pictures. I see that this other dude out of nowhere comes into the room and starts talking to the dude that's talking to me. And he said something about, no, she don't want to. So I guess he was explaining him that I didn't want to be a porn star. That was not an appealing goal for me. And he stayed for a while just looking. He was just staring. It was a little eerie. So after I catch the vibe, I was like, okay, well, my friends are waiting for me at the lobby because they came with me for the casting, but then we went to eat and then we came back when the casting was over and they're waiting for me in the poolside. So I'll have to go now. And they're like, oh, you came with your friends? He's like, yeah, I came with my friends. He's like, oh, well, you didn't bring them upstairs to meet them and stuff. Maybe one of the ladies we can choose. And I was like, well, no, I'm not. In that time, I was kind of like, I'm still working on my own career. Don't try to tell me you're gonna bring somebody else to how do you substitute me? So that kind of hurt in the moment. And I was like, no, I'm not going to bring other girls here so that you can choose them over me. I came here for my spot. If they wanted it, they would have come here to the casting. But yeah, that was just part of the game. As soon as they said, oh, okay, well, it was nice to meet you. Goodbye. When I opened the door, there was another dude right on the side of the door, all dressed up in black, and he just looked at me like this and passed me walk with a face. I don't know if that was the person who was going to stop me if I left without permission, because the dude that was just staring did open the door and kind of like did this to the dude on the side of the door before I came out. So it was more like, yeah, she has permission to leave or something.
When did you later find out that they would have kidnapped you?
Yeah, I was 18 when that happened, or 19, and at 25 actually I was when I realized I could have been trafficked. I was reading through articles about human trafficking because I was trying to make research for a book I was reading. I was writing, and I saw some. When they give you kind of like insight on this on some of the highlights that you can use, or some of the red flags enumerated. And I saw the list of red flags, and most of them applied to that situation. And I was like, wow.
Before we begin to wrap up, that was crazy. So give me two more films that are inspirational for you.
Yeah, the other one probably is the last one I made. It's called The First Date. I made it because we are in a generation where people are like, no, the dating pool has pee in it. No, people are so untrustworthy. There's no good men. There's no good women. And I was like, let me just change. Let me put some spice in this. Let me make a short film about how easy would your life be if you used dates like job interviews, but without the enterprise voice and the enterprising, I'm sorry, not the enterprise, the corporate talk, without the corporate talk. Right. So I made a short about crucial first time questions that you should ask somebody in order to set the tone to see if that person is appropriate for your future. And I also made them very in this era. So it's like a comedy. In the very beginning, they're just having a date and everything's cool, but it doesn't work out. At the end of the day, they realize they maybe are not the best mix. and they go on to the next right off the bat. And I was like, yes.
What do you enjoy doing more, acting or producing and creating films? Which one do you like the most?
I think there's beauty in each position. There's a grand beauty I cannot shadow with the other. Acting, I love the art of acting because you get to be somebody else and feel somebody else's emotions.
Right.
And understand that person through their point of view in life. Although it's a fictional character, it will still open the door for you to understand that you're not the only one who thinks the way you do. There's other people that think differently or just the same. But you got to be respectful all the time because it's a different magic when it comes to acting. You just impersonate somebody that is not you, and gradually you understand that the world does not revolve around you. Like you are just one person, one little bug in this big hive. Another something that you asked me also with the producing, it's fun. I like making stories and making a twist and making people like, oh, I didn't expect that. Like, that was cool. I like entertaining people. I may not have the face for it. People will tell me that my voice is a little too strict, like I'm too rough, and people can't get to like me because of that. My Puerto Rican side, I am strict. I am not nice. I am kind. That's what I am. I am just like Jesus. Jesus was not nice. He was kind. He was not nice. Don't get it twisted. He would have put it on those Pharisees if he could.
So before we wrap up, what are you working on currently right now?
Right now, I just finished our press play. Our press play cinema film festival. We finished it this last week on Thursday. 3 beautiful films win. It was As Easy as Closing Your Eyes with the first place, Last Question as the second place, and An Outfit as the third place. We had a screening at Celebration Cinema of Lansing. It was really fun, really cool. I got to enjoy sometimes with my friends in film and get to know new people. That was the last thing that happened. Now I'm working on organizing this week because that was just last week. So now I got to get back into my stuff this week. And now next week, I'm starting to do more content for Press Play Cinema. And I'm also working on a psychological thriller. That will be probably my third. That's the one I'm really excited to make. It's rooted in men's mental health.
Oh, wow. That's deep. That's deep. How can the viewers reach out to you, support you, and follow your career?
Yeah, of course. You can go to Rose Sanchez /actress page in Facebook. You can also find me at rosesanchez.com. Now, we were talking about films and stuff like that. Guys, I have pressplayhere.com. Pressplay Cinema is a streaming channel where you guys can watch independent films from underground artists for free. And at the same time, you're contributing to their growth because every view you give them, it's reported to their own profile, so they may eventually start monetizing out of their views. So guys, I encourage you to go ahead and watch everybody's films and just enjoy and find some new, fresh, and meaningful content to watch.
That sounds like a winner. Thank you so much, Rose, for sharing such an impactful story about your life from Puerto Rico to the States, and for also sharing some great experiences and knowledge that individuals need to know and not actually walk into the acting career or any career blindly. Understand red flags. Safety is important no matter what you're trying to do. Love to have you come back and talk more independent film and your new ventures. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode.
Oh, wait, before you leave, something I did wanted to comment, because you did talk about generational wealth, and that is not all only about money. If there's no principles and values and a concrete guide, a concrete path that is straight to go through. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter. It will everything eventually will crumble down if it doesn't have the right foundation. So please work on that. Work on those values and morals you want your children to pass to the new generation, which is your grandchildren and the children of your grandchildren. And eventually that generational wealth will not just come in money, but it will come in a lot of other richness. Thank you for having me.
Heard it live from the future actress herself, Rose Sanchez. This has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton show.
There to inspire. Bye-bye.